On tonight's program, the men's and women's basketball teams open up Big Sky Conference play. Both head coaches drop by to recap the weekend. We'll tell you about the unique background of Drick Bernstine and how that led him to transfer to the UND men's basketball club. And head women's hockey coach Brian Adamski drops by to catch us up to speed on how his squad is doing. Welcome to UND Sports Extra. Happy New Year to all of you. Happy New Year to our leadoff guest, head coach of the men's basketball team, Brian Jones. Brian, nice to be back talking hoops with you. And before we get into the Big Sky season that started for your team this last weekend, you had a tough end to the non-conference schedule playing at Kansas State, and as if that wasn't enough, you played without Quentin Hooker and Gino Crandall, but those guys were back for your Big Sky opener.
Yeah, I think it was a good turning point for us. We played Kansas State, a team at the time, I think it was 9-2, and we went in and played well. We had a chance to win, and we were down 4 with 5 minutes to go. So I think it proved a lot to us as coaches. When we're down, we got to trust some of these younger kids. We gave them more minutes, and they really responded. So I was really impressed going into the break. I was excited. I knew hopefully with some time off, Quentin would be back, and going into Big Sky play, I was really excited with the energy we had with our team, the growth we've had, and I was excited to get things going.
Yeah, it led into some positive vibes as you played host to Idaho on last Thursday in your Big Sky opener. Big night for Quentin Hooker in the first half. He's creating things early on for you here, working the give and go with Carson Shanks and Hooker with the finish there.
Yeah, those two really have a good connection. Obviously, they're best friends off the floor, but they just really know how to play well with one another. Nice
dish here from Gino Crandall, hooking up with Corey Baldwin for the easy 2. Then Crandall goes deep for the three-pointer here. How's his progression here?
I think he's getting better each game. It's just, coming through as a freshman, understanding being a point guard, the leader you have to be, you have to run your team, but just allowing the game to come to him. When he does that, he's a pretty special player.
Drick Bernstine had a great couple of games for you this past weekend on the boards, but here he knocks down the long 2. He had 6 points and 11 rebounds for you. Your team trailed 6 at the half, but in the second half, Adam McDermott doesn't make the 3 here, but Quentin Hooker with the sweet rebound and dish behind the back to Carson Shanks.
That's a heck of a play right there. Obviously, it shows you, again, their connection with one another.
And Hooker had a tremendous second half for you. The long bank in for 2 here, and then from well beyond the arc, Hooker knocks down the 3, finished with a 28-point effort, tying a career high.
Well, he was limited in the first half. He was in foul trouble, didn't play the last 12 minutes of the half, which hurt our team. That's why I think they had the lead at halftime, but it just shows you his efficiency, doing what he did in the second half. But you even seen him sharing the ball. Obviously, that's the last play of the game. We got a great look down 3. We get another crack at it, and we come up short. But that was a pretty high-level game. It started slow for us, some turnovers early, but both teams really played well, I think, the last 25 minutes, actually 30 minutes of the game. So it wasn't a typical first game after the holiday break. I thought both teams played pretty well.
Idaho never went away. They do win at 74-71, and a lesson learned for your group that there's going to be close games in Big Sky play as we transition to your second home game in the Big Sky against Eastern Washington this past Saturday. First half, Carson Shanks spinning in the lane, and we'll lay it in for 2 here. And a nice start for your team in this one.
Well, it was a good start for him, too, because he missed a couple bunnies late in the game, just getting his confidence going. I think our team has proven when he's going early, we're a different team, so we've got to continue to get his confidence going.
Bernstein with the strip ahead to Baldwin for the bucket and the bonus. And then we see Corey Baldwin hooking up with Bernstein here. The long jumper is good. Those two seem to have a good rapport on the floor.
They do, and what you're seeing here, and what I was really proud of our guys in both games, the ball was moving. Multiple guys were touching it, and we're getting great shots. Again, pitching ahead, a horse shot for Adam. Our team has done an unbelievable job. When the ball's moving, that score is going to move for us.
That 3 leads your team to be up 1 at the half. In the second half, Bernstein going back to work on the drive and finish there. Then we see Gino Crandall creating things on the defensive end of things, gets the steal, and he'll take it all the way home for the 2-hand flush.
I think Gino's got a chance to be one of the best defenders in this league, even though he is a freshman. He's that gifted defensively and just his IQ of the game. So it was good to see that. That was a huge basket right there by Q. And finally, some emotion out of Drick. He's definitely a slow burn type of guy, but his emotion was good to see.
15 and 11 for Bernstein, his third double-double in the last 4 games. Then Cortez Seals with a bucket there, and some clutch team free throws solidify the victory as UND wins 79-71, knocking off the defending Big Sky champs. Solid win, Coach.
It was, and it was good to us. We made, I think, 11 of 13 down the stretch from the foul line. We learned from Thursday night, as you mentioned, leading into it. I do think every game is going to come down to a situation where it's a 1 or 2 possession game, so we have to be able to finish plays and execute, whether defensively or offensively.
As you transition now to the road, you have your first road trip this week of the Big Sky season, and that's going to be a new experience for a lot of guys on your team as you travel to Weber State and Idaho State. Expectations as you make the swing out west?
Well, we're playing Weber State. I mean, they're going to know what they're about. Honestly, when we had a group a few years ago, they thought they were ready to play in this league until they went to Weber, and we got smacked in the mouth, and that was the thing that turned our season around. So I'm hoping it's not like that, but that we understand how talented they are, how tough-minded you have to be. But it's a great atmosphere to play in. But no venue is going to be easy for us to play in. I don't think anybody this year. So it's getting the first 3 games out of the way. I feel the top 3 opponents. It's going to really reveal to them, but us as a staff, where we need to be, where we need to get to.
Well, you got positive vibes going on the road, and that's always a good thing in
question.
conference play. Thanks for joining us for a little chat, Brian, and we'll be back with more on men's basketball player Drick Bernstine when we come back.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Sophomore forward Drick Bernstine is an intriguing player both on and off the court. His father played nearly a decade in the NFL, and after transferring from Denver, he's been reunited with a close connection from his prep days. Marty Mueller has the story.
That's one thing I would say is a little difficult. Sometimes over the summer you're trying to have fun and try to sleep in a little bit, and he's waking you up at 5:30, making sure you get your work done, and you might go back that night.
When athletic talent runs in the family, sports are taken a bit more serious.
Whether it's in the classroom or with sports, it's just everything's set to a higher standard. I mean, even in the way you act in public and stuff, he always held that really high upon me.
Those high standards upheld by Drick's father, Rod Bernstein, former first-round NFL draft pick and 9-year NFL veteran. With bloodlines like that, athletics have to come easy.
No, I was always fast, but I had a weird growth stage where I was really, really goofy, extremely goofy. I mean, I think I was probably 6'4", and I hadn't really figured out how to move with a size 14 shoe, so everything was kind of a little off for me.
Adolescence wasn't doing Drick too many favors until a high school coach with a unique connection gave him a chance.
It's an interesting situation, and mine and Drick's. It turned out that obviously the chance to be his high school coach, but his father being a professional athlete. My father played in the NFL also. Drick showed up to one of our summer league games, and he was about 6'3" at that time, so I kind of took a look at him and was like, I wonder, can he play? And you never turn down size in high school. So even to this point now, we kind of both joke about it.
All joking aside, Coach Durden saw something special in Drick and wanted to ensure his talent was developed the right way.
Drick was always a hard worker, but I think no different than my dad. When your father had a lot of success, he kind of has an idea of how you can get there. And as a coach, we were working really hard to make sure we fostered that relationship and his development the right way.
That effort would be rewarded when Drick signed with Denver University, electing to stay close to home and near his family.
Initially, when I went to Denver University, my dad really enjoyed it. He really enjoyed it because all my family was always around, and so that was a good place for me to be at the time. But it just didn't really work out on an offensive standpoint for my game. It just wasn't really shifted towards the way I play.
And so the hunt for a new school was on. Being a family-first guy, Drick found comfort in a familiar face at North Dakota.
When he decided to leave DU, I was one of the first people to hear about it. And again, my whole job was, what's the best fit for him? How can we help him? Me not saying, hey, come with me right there, and more just helping him. It really opened the door again with me and his family to say, Coach Durden's just really looking out for Drick. And then when the opportunity came a few months later to say to Coach Jones, I know this kid, I think we have a shot at him. Me and his relationship and history really benefited in us getting him signed here.
The bond between player and coach is always important. Few have the chance to relate like these two have, not because they chose to escape their father's shadow, but because they want to see him smile.
I walked away from football and I focused solely on basketball. He's obviously trying to do the exact same thing, but we both were kind of wanting to make our own name in our own sport to make our parents proud or make our fathers proud.
I want to get there. It's not really about him. It's more about making him proud along with everybody else in my family. Everybody else really holds me to high standards in everything I do, whether it's school or whether it's basketball. So it's just like being compared to him helps at times, but then there's other times where it's like it's a lot of pressure, but then again, you just got to push through it.
After 22 boards this past weekend, Bernstein is second in Big Sky rebounding, averaging just under 9 per game. We're back with women's head basketball coach Travis Brewster next.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. We stay on the hardwood, but shift gears to women's basketball. Head coach Travis Brewster rejoining the program. Coach, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Before we dig into Big Sky play, you rounded out non-conference over the holiday time with a home game against South Dakota and then visited Minnesota. A difficult end to the first half of the season going into Big Sky play, and not a lot of layoff for your group going into league play either.
Well, you look at those two games. Obviously, the USD game is something that we should play. A very talented team as well. I thought we did a pretty good job. And they made a heck of a play down the stretch, and that's the name of the game. And then we turned around and played Minnesota and played a pretty solid game for about 30 minutes. And it's one of those things that you want to see your team continue to grow. And it was a tough non-conference schedule, but it's here now. Here we are, Big Sky play.
Well, you start Big Sky play on the road in Moscow, taking on the Idaho Vandals, and Idaho came out firing threes early. Christina Salvatore knocks down the three here. She had a game-high 21, including 5 for 5 from beyond the arc as Idaho built a 10-point lead. Your team would respond later in the quarter. Nice steal and lay-in here for Jill Morton, and then we'll see Stephanie Smith go inside for 2.
Well, it's one of those things that you have to play defense in this conference, and obviously you're playing Idaho, who's one of the top three-point shooting teams in the country. I thought Steph did a great job of laying it in there. We need to get the ball to her a little bit more, in my opinion, and we've worked on that. But our defense on the perimeter's got to improve. It just does. You got to identify players and be able to stop penetration.
You'd get it within 6. In the second quarter, though, Idaho puts on a three-point clinic. Geraldine McCorkle for 3. McCorkle again for 3. She had 20. Taylor Pierce knocks down a triple as Idaho built a 19-point lead. You'd put together a 6-0 run after that. Samantha Roscoe to Leah Zabla, who had a team-high 11, but not enough as Idaho shoots 9 of 12 from three-point range in the first half, while your team had just 7 total field goals in the first half, and this one got away as Idaho goes on to win 92-65.
Well, our MO has always been you got to play defense first and then score the basketball, and you can't let a team like that get hot in their own gym. And, we talked about that in practice, and we worked on some different things, but obviously it didn't carry over, so we have to do a better job of teaching the young people.
A challenging start indeed. You would then go from Idaho to Eastern Washington. No Maya Lloyd or Leah Zabla in this one. They were suspended 1 game for a violation of team rules, but that opened the door of opportunity for other players to step up. In the first, Fallon Frigie knocks down a 3. Then Michaela Dyer feeds Stephanie Smith for 2 inside, who had a very nice game. UND builds an 8-point lead.
Well, I thought this group did a nice job. They came out with high energy. Obviously, in our program, everybody's responsible for their own actions and how they handle things. And so I thought this group showed that they were ready to play.
Jill Morton with another pick and lay-in to build a 10-point lead. Then working the perimeter, Kelsey Knox with the 3 as your team continues to lead by double digits. Nice ball movement there in the third as your team builds a 12-point lead as Smith finished there. But then back comes Eastern Washington with some 3s from Ashley Payne.
Well, unfortunately, again, we didn't get out on shooters. The other part was we turned the ball over in crucial situations. But I thought we did a nice job of moving the basketball. Great in and out there from Samantha to Fallon Frigie. We moved the ball while we had 16 assists in this game.
Frigie's 3 there would give your team a 1-point lead with under a minute to go, but Delaney Hodge Trojans. The Big Sky leading scorer came back at the other end. She finished with 21-14 as your team falls 60-57, 0-2 to start Big Sky play. Tough loss, tough pair of losses, of course, but are there some promising things you can pull from the Eastern Washington game that you can build on from here, Coach?
Well, absolutely. I think there's some things we can build upon. You look at our young players, how they were playing the game. You look how well we moved the basketball. There was flashes of a very solid defense. The key is to eliminate the breakdowns that we had late in the game.
All right, you're back at home this week against Weber State and Idaho State, a full complement of players you're expecting heading into this weekend's games, correct?
Oh, absolutely. We've already started practice this week, and everybody's back into it, so we'll see where we're at.
We'll have Thursday night's game against Weber State right here on Midco Sports Network at 7 o'clock. We're back with more right after this.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. We shift gears once again, this time to women's hockey, as we welcome back women's head hockey coach Brian Adamski. Brian, Happy New Year to you. Good to have you back on the program, talking a little women's hockey here with us. Before we get into where your team's currently at and where it's going, I want to reflect just briefly, if we could, and go back to your team has had some pretty significant wins this season to date, including knocking off two #1 unbeaten teams, Minnesota back in October and most recently Wisconsin. The kind of impact that that's had on your season to this point.
Well, I think it's reinforced the fact that we know we can compete and we can play. We have some talent, we have some ability, and it's just showing that we can play with anybody. And so I thought that both games we executed really well, played with a lot of passion, a lot of compete level, and that's what we need to do. So hopefully we can spin that into the second half like the last couple of years and get ourselves on a roll and play with that kind of confidence, consistency through the second half.
Your last outing against Wisconsin, you win and tie, you lose the bonus point in a shootout, but back-to-back shutouts against Wisconsin. That had to be almost the ideal way to go into this holiday break that you're currently on.
Yeah, no, it was nice. The fact that they had Wisconsin had played Minnesota the week before and beaten them for the first time in 19 games. We knew we had an opportunity to come out Friday and kind of catch them. And we did. We got a nice lead and we played really solid defensively and did a nice job start to finish. We knew Saturday we were going to get the full package. So I was probably more impressed with the fact that we knew we were going to get their best. They were going to be very motivated to play, and to be able to shut them out the second night, having their full attention, I thought that was pretty good.
Shelby Amsley-Benzie had 67 total saves over that weekend. Now you're in this month-long layoff. Can she pick up right where she left off, in your opinion?
Oh, I think so. I got an opportunity to watch her compete with the U.S. camp, and out of that camp and the top 46 players, they're going to pick the World Championship roster. So she did really well. Played with a lot of confidence there as well, and I think she's going to just roll that into the last couple months of the season.
This weekend, you have a couple exhibition games against the Minnesota Whitecaps, a team that Jocelyn and Monique Lamoureux play on. Your thoughts about coaching against those two players here at the Ralph this weekend?
Oh, well, when they transferred, I was hoping that would be the last time I would have to be on an opposing bench against them, but I guess that's not the case. We're just looking forward to getting our feet, getting some games under our belt before we start the second half, and obviously it's pretty special to compete against those two. They're going to challenge, some of our players to play at a high level, and that's exactly what we want. Going to get a lot of minutes for our younger kids, going to get a lot of looks for some people who haven't necessarily gotten all the ice time they would have liked in the first half. We'll have some players not suit up coming back from international competition, so looking forward to the games.
All right, good luck with those, Brian, this weekend. Thanks for coming on the show, and good luck as WCHA play will resume January 15th and 16th at Duluth. Thank you for your time, and we're back with more right after this.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. For the first time in the Bubba Schweigert era, the UND football team is in search of a new assistant coach. Marty Rogers has left the program following 2 seasons at North Dakota, where he served as coach of the safeties unit. Rogers is reportedly taking over similar responsibilities back at his alma mater of Southern Illinois. A search to replace Rogers is already underway by Coach Schweigert and his staff. And in other football news, at this past weekend's Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, former UND standout linebacker Dio Idowu was recognized on the field at halftime with 21 other student athletes as a member of the 2015 All-State AFCA Good Works team. Idowu has served as president of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee, along with numerous community service projects while at UND. Be sure to tune into your headquarters for UND Sports this week, right here on Midco Sports Network. We've got women's basketball for you against Weber State this Thursday at 7 o'clock, followed by men's hockey on Saturday at 7 o'clock as Brad Berry's bunch goes toe-to-toe against the USA under-18 team in exhibition play. Thanks for watching this edition of UND Sports Extra. Be sure to rejoin us next Tuesday at 7 o'clock for all the latest in UND sports news.